The PD2 is one of the OG overstable distance drivers in the game. It stands for Power Driver 2, I believe. It was a Discmania disc that was made by Innova, so once they split, it had to move. But now it's come back in 2 different iterations. So today, we're gonna be taking a look at the Innova-made PD2 versus the new Infinite Discs Conqueror, which just released yesterday in the Swirly S-Pen plastic. The Halo ones were out already, as well as the new Swirly S-Line PD2 from Discmania, which is their remolded one in their originals line. There are some differences, but also a lot of similarities, so we're gonna take them to a field, which you'll see soon. Then we'll come back here so you can understand why I'm wearing this. And finally play 9 holes, where one of these might have to get given to you guys if the Conqueror, since I'm sponsored by Infinite Discs, loses. So we made it out here to the field, and we're gonna be taking a look at all these discs. We have 3 objectives here in the field today before we get to the lab in the 9 hole. First off, we just need to see how these new Swirly S-Blend Conquerors fly compared specifically to 2 discs and then some bonuses. The new Discmania made Swirly S-Blend or S-Line PD2, and we have an old Innova made Discmania PD2. I'm really excited to kind of take these to the lab and see how they look against one another because they feel very, very similar. We also have a Halo Conqueror. I've noticed a lot of Halos are more understable, and then there's some like the Romans which are more overstable. Then we have some Emperors as well, which right now have been my most overstable disc in my bag because they've been very similar to that Halo Conqueror. And then we have a Calvin 2021 Halo Destroyer, Simon Lizotte time lapse, and a Nuke OS from the Leadstone drop. First up is just stock shots. Ooh, the wind's actually coming out a little bit. So we got a tailwind going this way. Then we'll play some headwind darts back at this basket. Then we'll try to get some max distance rips in with these guys and see if we can push them over 400 feet. I hope this one's more overstable. That was kind of like the Halo one. Oh, it might, that was the worst throw. Next up, we got the team stamped Halo Conqueror. The stable S-Line Innova made PD2. Seems similar to Conquerors. This one's special. This is probably the only time that we throw in the whole video, but this is someone's stamp. I wasn't able to guess. Let's see if any of you guys are able to guess in the comments. I don't think they were ever on Discmania, but they might have wanted to maybe close to join. Apparently this one's pretty flippy. Oh, that is flippy for a PD2. I threw it so nose up and it still wanted to drift. Wow, it went really far though. S-Line PD2. Darts. Next we have kind of the Destroyer and its clones. We have the Calvin 2021 Halo. This was in my bag for a lot of last season, so it's pretty seasoned in. And then I have this Emperor, which for some reason this white flight plate Emperor with like this like white interspersed halo is basically a 2021 Calvin Destroyer, I found. So with the colored rim, I think is a little less overstable. So we'll throw the Calvin first. See how like compared to that S-Line PD2 I just threw, it kind of drifts a little bit. I cannot wait for this disc to get into that point. And then maybe have a season Conqueror or maybe another Emperor. I don't know if Conqueror's gonna make the bag. We'll have to decide that by the end of the video. But this one's a little bit more overstable. See, like it's just fighting out of it instead of drifting on it. And that was even more driven, so it should have drifted even more. And then this one's even more overstable. Close to a Halo Conqueror, which I turfed. Oh, I was drifting a bit. Maybe I hit it harder, I don't know. Those all 3 are pretty comparable. Overstable, like very overstable. Maybe even more so than this time lapse, which we'll throw next, and then the Nuke OS, which I don't even know I rolled this out. It's gonna be so beef. I guess that's why. See, that one has more drift. That was even flatter and it like pulled over a little. Very generous to say it was pulling over, but. So it's flatter? Ooh. That wasn't as crazy beef as I thought. We'll get some hyzer rips playing darts back to this basket, but all of this pretty much are overstable. The first Conqueror that I threw, pretty close to the PD2 and the other S-Blend Conqueror. I'm pretty happy with how this is exactly what you think this would stretch out to be. All the super monster overstable guys right there. And then Emperor, Destroyer, super flippy S-Line PD2. And of course, that one had to go the farthest. Also, quick shameless plug, that I think there are some Conquerors that are getting stamped through my site. So if by the end of this video you want to pick some up, go snag any Conqueror. I'll actually link the Conqueror page, but you can filter for Pedanza stamped Conquerors if you want. Underneath that, of course, will be the link to my storefront with all my stamp discs. So the shortest Conqueror, since I teed off basically right next to that basket, is right here. 360 maybe? 377, so not bad. Probably about 340 into a headwind is kind of how I would play this disc. So I'll actually move you up with me. We're ranging to 338 from right here where I'm standing. So we'll kind of set the Bushnell down as our mini. Obviously we'll take it to the lab to like look at them and analyze that, but the feel, very identical almost. Since we got the head left to right, the name of the game here is just gonna kind of be to put it on hyzer, a high like this amount of hyzer, not like a spike hyzer, and just let it cut through the air and then fall down and like a knife to the ground without a lot of skip. Because you play a big hyzer, it's gonna get skippy. If you play a flatter shot, a more stall shot, it's gonna be a lot more of, I think, how I would actually use this disc. I'll throw the time lapse one more time, but this will be my last throw with it because it's not my favorite disc to throw. So that was more hyzery than I wanted instead of pushy. Not bad. I just never really get a clean release of that disc. The S-Line PD2 and then the Swirly S-Blend Conqueror, the more domey ones. On Infinite, I think you can also take a look at the profile of the disc, and that really domey one was pretty overstable, so. Yeah, just getting right to the left. Woo! Oh my. Wow. Similar amount of hyzer. That S-Blend Conqueror might be a little more overstable than that PD2. Well, I'm not throwing them right at all. Wow, it's so overstable. This is the last Swirly S-Blend Conqueror. I think I need to run up this way, obviously. Much better. A little flatter. That one definitely seems slightly less overstable, but I also threw that one the best. Pretty much parked. I think that one is closer to these halos. Just got more push than the other ones. Go ahead. Ooh. It just wants to go a little more, which in this slot is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for like lawn darts. Like I don't want a lot of extra glide. I want to throw it exactly as hard as I want and it goes exactly that far instead of gets a little bit extra push. Woo! It didn't pop up a lot, but it kind of started to want to come up. And lastly, the old Innova made S-Line PD2. It's tiring throwing all these overstable this hard. Oh, that was the best throw of the day. That was so good. So now it's time to go and take those back and throw them into a headwind and try to throw 300 foot on a forehand. And then we'll do max distance. This is range at 300 feet. If distances look closer or shorter, look up lens compression. That'll help you learn how to cheat in disc golf to make your shots look farther or shorter than you want them to be. We're throwing it basically into a headwind now, since I have to throw them on an anhyzer just to get them to fly 300 feet. Oh, that wasn't an anhyzer. That also wasn't 300 feet. I'm staying back more. I need to punch through. Oh, look at that knee drive. That'll work. That's how you remember a cue that you forgot a while ago. A little flatter. That's pretty good. Down there. Oh, that is the best one to forehand, or at least feels the best. That one might make my bag. I just gotta learn how to throw it on a backhand. Oh, these are not anhyzers at all. Now it goes farther though. And then an emperor for fun. There we go. No, still no. Whew. All right, so if you want to see what a wimpy forehand looks like throwing these, there you go. I connected pretty well with that Discmania PD2. If I throw over 400 feet, range back to the basket, that's the shot. And no takebacks. So. Almost hit the goalpost. I mean, a little shanky. It's not super accurate, but I think it might be 425 or so. Oh, beefy boy. Whew. Goal. That's a bomb for this disc. Same exact throw. Straight in the middle of the goal. That's pretty sweet. All right, let's see if we can get a third goal in a row. 3 in a row with the Innova made PD2. Get out of it. No goal, but it's over 400, so that's fun. All 3 right next to each other. So I'm ranging from right here, try to get you guys to see it. I need like my iPhone camera since it's such a smaller lens, but from right here, this thing is 418 feet. So this Conqueror then, this Halo one, has to be a good ways. Definitely has some more glide. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, 437 with this one. So these things go. I wonder if I can throw 500 now. I haven't like been testing max distance or even doing a crazy amount of form work. If I get like my Faro on the right line, I at least get a new PR, but I'm gonna wait and continue working out some form. I don't need the max distance test all the time. Remember that thing I said about focal lengths? You are not zoomed in very far, so it's gonna look a lot farther than the other throws from back here. 400 feet, slight headwind. Let's see if we can rip one back there. Let's get in. Oh, let's get on to the course, because if either the Innova PD2 or the Discmania PD2 beats my Conqueror, I'm gonna give it away to one of you guys. But first we have to get in the lab. Welcome to the lab. Here in the lab, there are 4 things that we're gonna be going over. The first is the plastic feel. The Infinite Swirly S1 Conqueror, they all feel relatively similar, just a different level of dominess here. This one actually popped up a little bit from yesterday when I had it in the field. Gave it time to just be warm, relax, and a little bit of dome popped up. Still relatively flat. And then these two are both relatively domey. You'll be able to choose the level. You'll be able to choose the level of dome that you want on Infinite Sight. But the plastic with all of them feels relatively the same. There is the little heartbeat that I personally like a lot. And what I've noticed about the Swirly S-Blend plastic as compared to just their normal S-Blend plastic, like I have here, like in these Faros, there's a little bit of extra tackiness with the Swirly. All of them feel like I can get a little bit better of a grip and maybe slightly gummier as well as just the normal S-Blend plastic. This is the equivalent of Innova's Star. The most apt comparison, since these are both the ones that you'll be able to buy now or near in the future, because Discmania is going to be releasing this. I'll also link this one down below on Infinite Sight for when they do come out as a stock release. Right now, I believe they're just in the black mystery boxes, but this plastic also feels very similar. Honestly, there's not too much of a difference between these. If you're really a stickler for it, which we are here in the lab, you can tell this is made by Innova. You could tell this is made by Trilogy if you're a super nerd, like obviously I am. The pop top on the Skystone, this Discmania one, really, it's less heartbeaty. It seems to more pop from the sides of the dome rather than the middle of the dome, which is a super nerdy realization that I just had. And the Skystone seems slightly more gummy than the Conqueror. Like when I am moving this around, the whole rim is moving and the rim is a little bit stiffer on the Conquerors. Not by a lot, but we're here for the differences. If you're reminiscing about these old Innova made S-Line PD2s, feels pretty comparable to the new Conqueror, to be completely honest with you. The plastic here is a little bit more stiff, but that is really being nitpicky with it. Now let's take a look to see if there are any profile differences on these 3. If we look at the Innova made S-Line as well as the S-Blended Conquerors, what you're gonna see is that they are pretty much the exact same. It's a little bit hard to tell, but they each have that little dimpled dome over the shoulder. And when you just have them in hand, they honestly feel like you're holding the same disc, just in a slightly different plastic. If the rumors are that this is the old PD2 mold, I would have to concur based on holding one of these in my hands as well. Yeah, they're the same. But I do see and feel a little bit of difference between the profiles of these. Not insanely, but the new Discmania ones are definitely not exactly like the old Innova S-Line. To be completely honest with you, in my hand, this Discmania new PD2 feels a little bit bigger than the Conqueror. I honestly think a lot of the difference just comes down into the bevel of the rim as well as the dimple on the shoulder. The bevel here on the Conqueror seems to have a little bit more of a curve to it, whereas here with the PD2, it seems to be pretty straight for a while and then have a little bit of a curve at the end. The shoulders as well have a little bit of differences, and to me there are about 4 or 5 different parts of a disc that are very important for the flight. You have the dome, which is kind of the center, the top right here. You have the shoulder, which is this area right here, where underneath the rim kind of comes into contact with the flight plate. It creates this shoulder, and that is different on a lot of different discs and creates a lot of different flights. Then you have the actual kind of wing shape itself, and that's where the bevel comes in to be a little bit different. And you also have the parting line right here, which is where the 2 mold parts meet on most conventional discs. MVP, obviously they have the overmold, but the difference in the shoulder that I see between these two is, again, very small, but this one seems to come up and then flatten out and then have the dome, and this one is very close to that but has a little bit more of an upward angle on it. I think that because of that, even though the domes seem very similar, this dome seems to sit a little higher in your hand, so it feels bigger because the shoulder isn't as flat. But that also makes this disc feel slightly smaller diameter, even though I don't believe that it is. Maybe ever so slightly, but we'll get into that here. Don't mind the mess, this is a lab. Of course it's gonna be messy. It's definitely not the case that labs are the most sterile places ever. Part 3 of our scientific inquiry is to look at the specifications online. I know PDGA is not super notorious for needing to have the most stringent guidelines. They just basically measure whichever single disc gets sent to them. But we'll check nonetheless. Chaos Power Driver, approved 2010. We'll look at that one. We'll also approved at the one, approved on the 31st of 2023. Last approval. Infinite Conqueror. Here we're looking at, on the far left, the Infinite, and then in the middle, the Discmania, and on the right, the Conqueror. And this is very interesting. It might show, honestly, a little bit of the difference between time and plastics being molded, because if we look on the far left and on the far right, max weight is the same, diameter is the same, the height is different, the rim depth is different, the rim thickness is different, the inside rim diameter is the same. And so even though it is likely, or maybe my opinion, that these are the same molds, they look the exact same, these two feel the exact same. This one is a little bit blunter of a nose. This one's a little bit more rounded over. Could obviously be plastic differences, because then I look at this one and this one has a blunter nose. Oh, interesting. So this one likely is less overstable because the nose isn't quite as blunt. We figured it out. This one's mostly blunt. And in the middle, we have the new Discmania PD2, which is the same max weight, diameter, height is different, rim depth is the same as just the Conqueror, rim thickness is the same as the Conqueror, inside rim diameter is the same as the Conqueror, and ultimately, this could literally just come down to the one or whichever amount of discs they have to send to the PDGA, and then they measure them and put them on the site. It doesn't seem to be a super scientific process over there, unlike here in the lab. Lastly, we're going to take one quick look at the marketing material. See if there's any marketing hoopla going on. New and improved PD2 from Discmania. Let's take a look and see what they have to say for themselves. It's the definition of the gold standard of overstable distance drivers. Famous for its tremendous speed and sheer overstability, this iconic driver is back reinvented. PD2 can handle any amount of wind and conditions out there, so if you got the power to get up to speed, this is the tool you can trust when the stakes are at the highest. Every Discmania Pro out there is guaranteed to have one of these at the ready. That last part, I don't know if that's going to be true, but it would make a lot of sense, and I see no fault in that. Frankly, this disc 100%, I would say, is the gold standard for overstable distance drivers. Just happens to be that the Conqueror is also the gold standard. There's two gold standards, because they're almost the same. But I would definitely say that this is the tool you can trust when the stakes are at their highest, as long as you can commit to the shock. Because if you can't commit to the shock, it's just gonna dump on you, and then you're gonna lose the tournament, and your friends are gonna laugh at you, and you're gonna be like, why did I do that? This is the worst thing that's ever happened in my life. That was not a personal experience. Let's take a look at the Infinite Discs Conqueror. There is no PD2 on Infinite's site right now, so I'll simply link to this Discmania page on Infinite for when they do come out. If you're watching this video, then you can go to this page and then you'll see PD2 down here for sure. However, if we go and shop for the Infinite Discs Conqueror, we can see what they have to say about it. We can just real quick select this. Whoa, look at what are those doing on this? That's great. That's crazy. And $17? The Conqueror by Infinite Discs is a formidable, overstable distance driver designed to conquer the challenges of the most powerful throws, even in the hands of professional players. I don't have the most powerful throw, but I would say this disc almost conquered me. We might be evenly matched, you know? If we were fighting, like, I'd probably lose, but I would give it a good run, you know what I mean? When unleashed, the Conqueror showcases an impressive end-of-flight fade. Very true. Whether launched forehand or backhand, dependably conquers fierce headwinds with unwavering stability, 100%. All the numbers on all these discs are 12404. I would say that that is very accurate, and so far, the marketing is true. But all that being said, we need to get out onto the course, play these 9 holes. If either of these two discs beat the Conqueror, there will be a way for you to win it. Stay tuned to the end. Good thing it's a short hole. Odd one out goes first. No, these are Josh's discs. I'm not gonna do that. If they were my own, I would. We'll go Conqueror first. Set the tone. Wow. Geez, you just forget how crazy these things are. Oh my gosh. That's like the worst forehand ever. There we go. I finally stayed up in one. Sheesh. Oh gosh. Thought I missed that. Jeez. No chance. Jeez. Okay. Yeah. It just rides it more. I don't think it's more beat in. He didn't say. He said it was pretty overstable. Oh, no way. Now I'm gonna look like I'm cheating. I'm just. Ooh, come on. No. Oh gosh. Now you can't claim bias, you can just claim bad. Now I got a little forehand filler hole, which is probably gonna be less of a filler hole than I want it to be, just because of how bad my forehand has been. We're just gonna throw a little stall forehand, try to keep it really smooth and compact, and just throw it flat out there, high, let it just stall in, hopefully in the basket, but just turns into a knife edge. Yep. Wow, that's crazy. Yep, you see the backspin there. Exact same shot, just a little bit more inside. I do think that purple is slightly more overstable and a little bit less glidey, but very slightly. Back into some definitely more challenging holes. We have 294 straight up the hill into a pretty stiff, not stiff, into like 10 miles an hour of a left to right. You're gonna have to control the nose angle and play like an Annie stall. So because it's so overstable and we're throwing it uphill, it's really gonna wanna get left. Oh, that's not high enough. It needs to sit though. It might just be overstable enough to just stop. No, sit. Oh, no. Oh, it just dug though. That's more like it. That's much more like it. No. This next one's gonna be an actual hyzer hole. And then we'll play a hole that I typically have to disc down on, but because of how overstable this is, if you stall it right, you can actually disc up and go really overstable and just like stall it in there. Then a little skip hole and then a bomber. Turn to a knife, baby. Bang. This hole, by the way, is 340, it says on the T sign. Definitely seems the most overstable. Don't think we need putters for this one. We might have needed putters. 337 down the hill into a straight headwind. The Screening has the box. We're playing OB left in the creek. Might be a little more driven than I want, but it looks like it's getting on the knife edge. Don't. Sit, sit. I think it's safe. Oh no. Conqueror's gone, hit the tree. Not that way. Hit the tree and go back in bounds. Wow. That's what I was talking about. So, whew. Oh. 315 feet straight ahead. I have to get 2 back with this one, otherwise it's going away. And then we'll answer if I'm gonna bag one or not. But honestly, if you're looking for a super meat hook, I don't think you can go wrong with any of these. I mean, you could get these, but I get these when you have the Conquerors now, frankly, and they'll be much more readily available. And they're basically the exact same disc, if not slightly better, because now plastics can get updated a little more. Not that one. Much better power, I think. No. Wow, it's so overstable. And so honestly, bagging one of these, first off, I'm probably not gonna get to choose the one that I wanna bag. Maybe I will, but whoever wins the giveaway, I'm gonna give them their choice of these 3 Conquerors. Actually, of all 4 of my Conquerors. If you want the Halo one instead, you can have that one. That one is team stamped, which is pretty sweet. Don't let that sway you. Maybe let it sway you. I want to keep these. But honestly, I kind of wish there was like a board flat one. And maybe I just need to get used to the fact that this pop top one can still be ridiculously beefy, and that's okay. But for some reason, my head associates flat with overstable, even though it's only like occasionally the case. There's actually a chance to get it back to level. Clutch. One more hole. 400 some feet downhill. But in terms of bagging one of these, I do think there's a spot for it in my bag. It will be a Conqueror from Infinite over the PD2, because they're honestly just so similar that I don't think you can go wrong with either. Really what it comes down to as to why I think I can bag one of these, as well as that very overstable Hill Emperor. One, it's slightly better for wind fighting. It feels a little faster out of the hand, and it's much less glidey. The end flight is very different because of that. Whoa, it's a tailwind, get out of it. Now skip somehow? Oh, it did. Oh, it's so long. Just never wants to be in the air. Oh, I tried something new with my form since I don't really care about that one, but it didn't work out. Yikes. Massive shout out to my buddy Josh for letting me borrow the Discmania ones. Massive shout out to Infinite for bringing back the PD2 mold into the Conqueror Reborn. If you want to see more reviews in this style, definitely subscribe. More will be coming. But if you want to check out one of the more recent reviews that I've done, here is one of my favorites for sure. And a fun series if you just want to watch some casual disc golf, right down there. If you're looking for the beefiest of the beefy, which I know some of my buddies like Kyle Longquist are, you want to get these kind of black and purple mixes. Very domey. very overstable. If you're looking for something a little more mellow, seems to be most of the lighter colors, or the Discmania PD2. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. I appreciate you more than you know. Bye.